Good Wednesday evening, everyone. Burke Weather meteorologist Scotty Powell here with the Carolinas Weather Group as kind of a different show tonight. We don't really have a set topic. We're going to talk a little bit about fire weather meteorology, and we're also going to talk a little bit about the severe weather that is taking place out in the plains right now. In fact, just before we went on air here, it looked like a tornado, a small tornado, went through southern Oklahoma City in the communities of Moore. Also, some tornadoes being reported up in the Tulsa, Oklahoma area. So probably the latter half of this show, we're going to talk a little bit about that severe weather. And it's going to be a great segue into our topics next week or next month as we talk all about severe weather. We'll also talk a little bit about Weatherfest that happened over this past weekend. I'm sure Ricky will have a lot of good things to say from that. All of us attended that event, and it was a great success, maybe a little bit bigger than we thought it was. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. I've rambled on enough, so I'm going to toss it over to Joey Mosseller, who's in Catawba County, and he can kind of let you know what the weather's been like for the past couple of days. Joey?
Sure, toss to me. I was just in the middle of sharing this. Anyway, yeah, weather over here is, there's just nothing really going on. We had some rain and some drizzle, and that's about it. Looks like maybe we have a little bit, maybe some thunderstorms tomorrow. I don't recall what thunderstorms are at this point, so I'm not sure. But anyway, but all joking aside, yeah, we'll have a little chance for some thunder maybe later on tomorrow evening or so. And then we turn cold over the weekend, which should be interesting. I think maybe down east we could see a few snow flurries even. I guess maybe we might see a few flurries around here, but I wouldn't count on it too much Friday evening. But definitely down Austin's way, could see a few flurries. So with that said, why don't I let Austin introduce himself and tell us a little bit about what's going on his way. So Austin, the future Taylor, go ahead.
Well, it would have been nice to warm up a little bit today. It got up to about 71 at 5:30 this afternoon. And like Mr. Joy said, we could see a few flurries, especially to the far eastern counties where the moisture will still be lingering when the cold air comes in Friday night and early Saturday morning. And then tonight, overnight tonight, we could see an isolated thunderstorm. And don't hold me to that because, yeah. And then tomorrow afternoon, we may see a few thunderstorms here or there. And that's about it.
Okay, Ricky, do you want to kind of talk a little bit about what's going on in the Charlotte area?
You guys, a choke on my sweet tarts that I was munching on. Yeah, today was like the second day in a row, Scotty, that we got a lot warmer probably than some of the forecasts were indicating. We got to, I think it was 66 or 67 today for a high, and then yesterday we climbed high again when the cap broke. We weren't, well, I should say we. Most people weren't expecting the cap to break yesterday, and the HRRR hit it pretty well in the morning. I think it was about 2 degrees too warm or so, but it got to 65 yesterday, and it was saying 67 in the morning. So today it was almost a little more the same. It was probably a little too warm in the morning, but once the later run came in, it hit right in the knob. So we'll have to see what tomorrow brings. I think, just as Joey mentioned, we could see a chance for an isolated thunderstorm or two. The Cape isn't too impressive. It's kind of a situation with not a whole lot of lift involved, but we'll have to see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, we're watching that as well. That system coming in that's out in the plains right now. A little bit of a different setup tonight. As you can see, the background's kind of different for me, but that leads me into the first topic of tonight's discussion. We're going to bring in Chief Meteorologist Chris White with Burke Weather. He, before getting involved with Burke Weather, he was the fire weather meteorologist for the state of North Carolina. So, Chris, good to have you tonight.
Hey, Scotty, before you bring Chris on, somebody might wonder who the new guy is there on the screen.
He is not important.
Well,
No, I'm not.
we will, we'll let Cody Ledbetter's joining us tonight. He's going to become a full-time panelist here in the next couple of weeks, and we're going to get to Cody this after the fire weather meteorology. So, Cody, I'll let you introduce yourself and maybe tell everyone where you're at right now.
Well, I'm in my dorm right now, UNC Charlotte. Not too far from Ricky, I would assume, but I don't know what else to say at the moment.
Yeah, Cody's going to be joining us from time to time. He's going to also be helping out here in the Burke Weather this summer for internships. So, with that, we'll toss it over to meteorologist Chris White. Chris, tell us a little bit about how you got involved with the Forest Service and doing the fire weather meteorology.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. Can you hear me, guys? I guess this mic's working. Yeah, it was pretty interesting how I come into this fire weather thing. All my life, my buddy Jason and I that started Burke Weather with me, he and I chased as soon as we got our license. So we kind of went into the forestry service, started in 2007, and there started in fire weather meteorology and studied that a lot. Very big challenges within that, and learning a lot of new data that was just kind of Greek to me at first, but a lot of fun to learn. So started that a week before I struck my lightning, graduated my fire weather certification, forecasting certification. Was struck by lightning there in Caldwell County. So from there, it's just been game on with Burke Weather. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it.
And
How I got going.
And Chris, we know you here in the organization. You in the springtime and the fall time, you put a lot of the fire weather outlooks out for the area. Talk to us a little bit about what goes into that. How we can forecast fire weather and all the different aspects that you look into making that forecast.
Go into forecasting for fire weather day, and every day that the Forest Service wants to burn, they will come to the fire weather forecaster, and we'll look to them for indices, because if the humidity was to be lower than 30%, then we couldn't light the fire for the burn. And we did a lot of prescribed burning, especially between now and May 1st, when we really greened up in the mountains. The green up has a huge effect on what happens, and I'm talking about the canopy coming on the trees and it being able to hold the moisture into the ground a lot more, not out like it is now. And the problem is we get these Arctic fronts that move through this time of year, and the dew points just bottom out, and they take the so those humidity levels, when they plummet, and then you mix in the wind that comes in for disaster. The first situation that I encountered this on was actually in February 28th of 2008. We had a high wind event move through with very little rainfall, and in western North Carolina we chased about 50 wildfires that day that were over 20 acres. They just grew rapidly, and the reason they grew rapidly is because the humidity was so low. The humidity bottomed out at around 14% that day. It was brutal. And the winds were gusting upwards of 60 miles an hour. So not only did you have to pay attention to where the fire was going, but where the trees were going that were falling above your head. That was very interesting. So we knew it was going to be a big fire weather day. We staged crews around the area, and we make a plan. They make a plan to go with every day. And when we start getting late February on over into the March time frame, especially, we start build those the day before. We'll give an outlook, and then the morning of, we'll come in, we'll look at the humidity, the wind, what it's expected to do, where our temperatures are to go, and also our fine fuel moistures. Our fine fuel moistures, just for instance, today are down around percent, so there's not a lot of moisture on the grounds, and they will readily combust. I mean, you think about, we've got no canopy on the trees. So the sunlight is able to shine through to the forest surface and really heat that up, and it takes very little additional heat to ignite those fine fuels, and once the fine fuels gets going, if you get the winds in there to drive the fire, it's a spelling for disaster. We saw this in Oklahoma just a couple weeks ago, a couple days ago, where in northwest Oklahoma they had a 30-acre wildfire that blew through the prairie lands out there because the fine fuels were so dry. It just burnt right through the home. Thing that people can do that will, especially in our area, the fire is something that defies gravity. It will burn uphill much quicker than it will burn downhill. And one thing we tell people to do is, of course, monitor those forecasts, but also, before we get into those fire weather days, build a defensible space around your house, especially those homes up around, say, the mountains where they have it seems like the tree canopy comes right up in on their homes. If you could build that defensible space, it gives the firefighters time and an area to control the fire to keep it from burning through your home. Just this past fall, we had a fire in the mountains. That day, the humidity was down only around 31%, but we had a lot of wind that moved up mountains. It pushed the fire north, and then it moved it east along the ridge top down in the southern parts off Highway 60. And that was a pretty interesting setup because we honestly hadn't paid attention to how dry the fine fuels and more dried out with that system. So the humidity coming in with these systems, and we only get 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of rainfall, it doesn't do a lot for us. And Scotty, you highlighted yesterday in the forecast package that we're back into an abnormally dry drought right now across western North Carolina, and that's pretty much from I-77 west, and I would expect that to expand. And honestly, looking out, I don't see a lot of change with these very low precipitation amounts, and then the humidities coming in behind it, dropping down into the teens like we're forecasting this weekend. This absolutely won't be a good weekend to burn across the area. In fact, the forestry services are going to be staffing crews around again, because we know right now it looks like, what, a 1/4 inch of rain, maybe a hair more coming in with this system Thursday, tomorrow, and then Friday our humidity slowly start to fall, but Saturday they crash. And we watch those dew point levels, and I wish I knew how to screen share. I don't know if one of you knew how to screen share on here, could pull up the metograms and go down to the dew point and pull that metogram up and just look at how quick those fall. And once we're established on a fire with the Forest Service, we have to take the weather every hour, whether it's from a Kestrel or we sling the weather, we call it, with a hydrometer. There you go.
Yeah, that thing. I can't pronounce it either.
Yeah, and we have to come up with those forecasts every hour, because a slight change in the humidity or the dew point in the humidity and the wind speed can have a great effect on how our crews in the woods have to play out this fire. If the humidity drops, we start backing people out, because we know that those humidities are the fire is about to take off. Especially here in the foothills, we get these easterly winds that'll push up and it'll mix out, and it'll cause the fire to run up these canyons, if you will, and we can get a large fire very quickly, and we end up calling outside resources in on those because they're so big. But we don't allow anybody in the woods if the humidity drops below 20% and we have a wind speed greater than 30 miles an hour. And that's just a safety thing. I mean, there's fire you could try to control, and we would go with a direct attack on that fire. However, with those kind of days, you have to really go indirect and go and catch that fire on the next ridge. And whatever is in between is just property lost at that point, because you can't put a human life in jeopardy save a piece of property there. So I don't know if anybody was able. We were going to pull up a Meteogram. It's got a perfect example of what's going on.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Sorry,
That's
we were
fine.
watching those tornadoes, and I got sidetracked. Didn't really think about it. But you can see the humidity levels are going to drop off rapidly as we go Friday night into Saturday, and the dew points are dropping down to probably around 10 degrees or so. So with temperature probably reaching the low 40s, maybe mid 40s at best, we would probably see something in the low 20s for humidity levels coming up Saturday. Saturday definitely would not be a day that you'd want to burn anywhere across the Western Carolinas, probably the Southeast for that matter. The rainfall that we've got coming in just isn't going to do justice what we need done.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the Meteogram. It's not screen share is not cooperating with me, but it's showing dew points in the 5 to 15 degree range over the weekend. So those are very dry for our area.
Yeah, and I haven't did a lot on it, but really the whole atmospheric setup plays a huge role, because once these fires get to about 40, 50 acres, called pyrocumulus clouds that you could see it yesterday if you were here in the foothills with the controlled burn that was conducted out at the landfill. We had a nice pyrocumulus develop out there, but that being a small fire and as short-lived as it wasn't able to, quote, produce its own weather. But we get these fires in the Linville Gorge up here. It's a high that is highly used, and we'll get these campers that are lost, or they get lost in the woods, and they have no choice but to start a small campfire, try to stay warm at night, because temperatures drop rapidly up there. Those fires, they don't get put out, rapidly spread when those humidities drop off shortly after 11 o'clock. We see normally between 11 and 3 our sharpest drop-offs in the humidity and dew point levels. So oddly enough, it coincides with where our temperatures rise the most, and therefore we get our lowest humidity values around 2 to 4 o'clock during the day. Another thing we have to watch is the humidity recovery that night. If you look at the Meteogram, the dew points really don't recover much on Sunday. It takes till Monday till we get those dew points creeping back up above 30 degrees. So those are huge fire weather days that could be coming up for Saturday and Sunday, especially if this rain doesn't even pan out as much as what we think it is. And with the cap that I'm seeing, I'm skeptical on the thunderstorms as well. But if we do get a big fire breakout, you can watch that pyrocumulus develop, and you can see the smoke. It'll build up to the cap in the atmosphere. It'll spread upon along the tropopause, and the higher that cloud deck can get, the more heat can escape out of a fire. So it allows the fire to spread more readily. But if that cap holds and it can hold the smoke down where it's not escaping, it somewhat, quote unquote, smothers the fire out there. So definitely not a good weather day out there to burn Friday and Saturday across the area, anywhere North or South Carolina for that matter.
Chris, primarily, I mean, what were the areas in North Carolina, or what are the areas in North Carolina that see so many wildfires? I've always heard of them, in Eastern Carolina, and then, of course, up in the foothills and the mountains. Is there a main reason for that?
It's more because I think they're more recreationally used. You see more people out, and careless humans, I don't know how else to put it, that go out and you have a campfire, you pour a little water on it before you leave, but as those humidity drops through the day, that fire can come out of that fire pit, that controlled fire pit, and spread along the wildlands. Now, you ask about the Eastern North Carolina. We have to fight fire differently down there because the soil is more of a fossil fuel type soil, where the soil will burn. I got a picture, and I'll have to find sometime to show you guys that down in the Great Dismal Swamp, where we had the fire down there, that I was actually scheduled to go to the Monday after I was struck by lightning on Saturday to go do their fire weather forecasted for. It burnt the soil out around the tree. It didn't burn the tree, but the fire don't really get big in there. It just meanders around. And it takes so much water to flood those swamplands back once they're dry. And it'll burn the soil out from underneath those tree roots, and you can stand right under huge tree root balls in there. So down there, fire spreads. It's harder to fight. It doesn't spread more rapidly per se. It's more of a slow, gradual thing. And if you don't dig through that swamp layer, then you if you don't dig through that swamp layer, the fire can cross your fire line and come right out of there.
Yeah, I remember we had a big peat moss fire in the Great Dismal Swamp of Virginia back in, I think it was 2011, and then we had Hurricane Irene come through, and that still wasn't enough to put it out because it was, underneath, like you were saying, everything that was fightable, but the smoke from it was just horrible too.
Yeah, and it's amazing because so many people take these fires to hurt us, and those large, widespread fires like we saw that year in the Great Dismal Swamp. It destroys ecosystems, and it's carelessly done. I mean, these prescribed burns that we go out and we do are controlled to the point where we know what the weather's going to be. We don't know for fact. We predict what the weather's going to be. We go off of that. We take a fire weather reading every hour on the day, and if it drops below 28%, we stop lighting, even if we started the fire. So we've got a big one coming up, an actual huge burn that's coming up in McDowell County. I can't remember. Sometime this week, maybe the next couple of days, as soon as the U.S. Forest Service can get it lit off out of there safely. It'll be interesting to see if they can do that Friday or not with Saturday with the humidity values that are coming in.
Chris, another thing talking about, we see a lot of these fire danger statements, special weather statement, red flag, watch, warning. Talk about what each of those mean to the public when the National Weather Service issues those.
Well, fire weather watch is issued several days out in advance. It's almost like a winter storm watch. Is issued for snowfall. And it's issued maybe a day or two out in advance. When we see these high potential days start to take off, the National Weather Service decides to issue those. And those fire weather watches are either downgraded to a special weather statement. I use the word downgraded. I shouldn't use that, but moved to a special weather statement to where it's saying, hey, don't burn today if it's not necessary. If it's necessary to burn, keep those water sources readily at hand because any fire that escapes can rapidly grow. And really the red flag warning criteria takes a lot. It takes a combination of the fine fuels, the moisture is dropping out to where about they are now, our dew points dropping down to, if you get below 20 degree dew points and you get temperatures reaching the mid-40s, you've got a pretty dry air mass across the area. So then we have to look at the smoke dispersion, and that has to do with the cap level in the atmosphere, how readily that smoke's going to get up and go, and of course the winds. You get winds with anything below, say, 25% humidity, and the fine fuels like they are, as dry as they are right now, you can get a red flag warning issued pretty easily.
Sorry.
Those red flag warnings are usually issued 12 hours out, where those special weather statements or the fire weather watches are issued a day out in advance or so.
And Chris, from a fire safety standpoint, I mean, what actions are taken when those things are issued? Is it like a call to action statement for the Forest Service?
It is, and it's something that you take a look at. Hey, we know, and we come up with our own predictions of what's going to happen the day before, but we're constantly in touch with the Weather Service guys And honestly, I probably base Burke Weather and how it runs and operates a lot off of that principle. We lean on the National Weather Service and as well. So we dig and to provide us with this information coming out. Hey, this is what we're thinking. What are you guys seeing up there? We could tell them, yeah, well, we got a little fire this morning that spread pretty quickly, and it took a couple fire departments to handle. And that goes into the decision-making process, into that red flag warning as well.
So, like watches and warnings with severe weather, what should the public do when they see a fire watch or a fire weather warning? I mean, what's the protocol on that?
Well, the governor of North Carolina, the state forester, would be the one that has to put out the burning ban. And there's a misconception there. Whenever it's a red flag warning, there's not always a coinciding no burn day. But anytime that you have fire and you're dealing with outside burning, you are responsible for where that fire goes, whether there's a burn ban in place or not. Now, normally, the Forest Service, regional district will lean on each other and come up with the no burning bans, as they call them, across the area. But on red flag days, usually, if you don't have to, there's really no need to burn that day. Postpone the weather day, a day right after where we get rain. We get rain in the morning, and that afternoon, if it's not going to be windy behind it, go light those leaves off. They're still in every spring. But don't wait until special weather state or that fire weather watch or is issued to do it. So, you know, you have to use a lot of its common sense. And there's going to be these people. If you get out camping, you have to have a fire there to stay warm with your family. But use common sense. It's going to take a lot more water to put that fire out on a low humidity day than it is when the humidity is up around 40 or 50%. And my little go-to line that I call it is any humidity below 35% is kind of when I start paying attention to the weather, especially for fire weather.
Those are all some good points. Anything else that the fire weather meteorology? I mean, I know we've hit some of the high points. What else should anything else that you want to add about the way it crosses and ties with regular day forecasting that many of us do?
Well, to come up with a forecast that we give to the district and regional foresters each day, that is based off the same information that we look at every day for a public forecast. It's much more in depth what we give them. The burning categories for that day, how rapidly is that fire going to spread, you know, and many different aspects there. It just varies, but a big thing, I mean, they all go hand in hand. It's just the amount of information and what's distributed to the public to where it can be made sense by the layman terms is beefed up when we send the information to that regional forester or district forester there that makes the ultimate decisions on what they relay to Raleigh.
I gotcha. All right, guys. Anybody else have any questions for the fire weather section of our show? I guess not. Chris, can you give us a little, maybe a website or something that we can follow into a little bit more with fire meteorology?
Sure. The National Weather Service has a great site that they give fire weather out on. You could go there and you can read their special weather statements. The Storm Prediction Center, they actually issue those. They actually issue those a day or two out, fire weather watches and areas of concern. Now here around Western North Carolina, I have to get the site and post a link later It's too much to read out, but you could go in and view the fine fuels and exactly what's going on up around our area as well, right here local in our community with those fine fuels. But there again, I'll have to find it later. The North Carolina Forest Service website, you can Google that, has a lot of fire weather information on there, and a lot of more information that probably I've missed going over in this brief amount of time tonight.
All right, well that's good information. And Chris, we're going to have you stick around. We're going to talk a little bit about the severe weather that's taking place out in the Midwest right now. But first, I want to throw it to Ricky, and maybe if you want to, Ricky, talk a little bit about Weatherfest that took part this weekend.
Yeah, we had hosted our first ever Charlotte Weatherfest last weekend over at UNC Charlotte, and it was about 500 700 people we think turned out for the event. It was a pretty well attended and pretty well received by everyone that came out and our vendors and everything across the board. So we had kids activities, about 3 or 4 different kids activities. Well, I think it was actually 5 when we were all done with it. We had numerous volunteers from our staff to our students. Cody was there volunteering as well. We had all 5 of the 6 local TV stations in Charlotte come out in some capacity. Gave away some station tours, gave away some weather radios, some Fox 46 umbrellas that Rob Eichert gave me to donate, and it was just a all-around good event, I think, in my opinion. And we had a weather balloon launch at 4 o'clock as well. So I know all you guys were out there. Got to see your faces, if only for like a minute or two, because I was busy running around and trying to make sure everything was running smoothly.
It was really fun to be out there. I mean, it was really cool to not only see a lot of the Charlotte media represented, but a lot of your professors take time out of their Saturday to come in and talk briefly, 45 minutes or so, about different weather topics, and actually learned several things, especially from Dr. Easton with the hurricane talk that he did. That was really interesting. He actually passed around one of the devices that they drop down into the hurricane to measure what's going on in that. And I think that was pretty cool, and I know that Austin and Joey were there. And guys, any comments or anything on the Weatherfest?
First thing I was going to say was that drop snow there, Austin just about walked out with it. he was doing his best. He was doing his best to find a way to get him one of those for his room.
Can hang it from my ceiling.
But yeah, Weatherfest, yeah, it was great. I brought Jake with me. I know a lot of you guys who watch the show have seen Jake poke his head in from time to time on our show. He's 9. He enjoyed it. He enjoyed making an anemometer, which is now sitting at home on his desk. He made a couple other things. I don't know what all, because I went into some presentations while he walked around with one of my friends and her son. But he got to do that. He got to stand in front of a green screen. He purposely wore a green shirt just so he could blend into the green screen. He wanted to make sure he did that. So he really enjoyed it. I know when we got home, he talked about it. He went to school Monday, told all of his teachers about what he got to see down there. Ricky, I know that his school system was supposed to send some kids down. Did they do that?
I know Newton Conover schools did have one bus that came down, yes.
Oh,
we had some parents as well, because they were having trouble parking, and so I jumped on the bus and had to ride with them over the parking lot.
Yeah, that's the school system that I went to. My entire elementary, middle, high school years was all in Newton Conover school system. So pretty glad to see that those guys showed out for the event. But yeah, from his point of view, from a kid's point of view, he really enjoyed it. If he was over here with me tonight, I'd have him hop in here and say that. But he definitely enjoyed it. He's talked about it most of the week. He has made the decision that he's going to buckle down his grades because he wants to go to Oklahoma and he wants to become a doctorate in meteorology. That's his goal now.
There you go.
So, set the bar high. That's what I always say.
Well, that just means they'll have a place for you to go storm chase with, in a few years. You'll be like, I'm coming to visit just to storm chase. You only come during the spring season.
Exactly. I always come visit in April and May. I don't know why.
All right, guys. Austin, any comments on Weatherfest before we kind of transition into the severe weather that we're seeing out west?
Yes, actually. Ricky did a great job with this. A great turnout for a first-time event. A lot of great people out there. I finally got to meet all of you guys. Some great Mexican food, actually. I'd like to eat there again. Um, but other than that, it was really enjoyable. I hope they do it again next year.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
one comment I saw on Facebook was it went off like the 10th annual Weatherfest, not the first. And I thought that pretty well summed it up.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
It really did. I mean, I honestly, when we walked up, seeing all the people there, it was really awesome to see everybody just come out and talk. And I believe our buddy Brad Panovich had the longest line to talk to autograph-wise, and it was really cool to see all the Charlotte media come out and come together. And you know, one thing that they talked about is there's no competition between those guys. They all work together. So really neat to have them, especially at the end of the event, come up and do the panel interview. So it was really cool to hear from their experiences and just all around awesome day for us weather nerds.
Yeah, and if anyone has any suggestions or anything for next year, because we do plan on doing this again, I've already forced the students into doing this next year, and we've got the ball rolling. And I talked to one of our advisors about funding and stuff today, and it'll be a lot easier this time to do funding since we have all the signs and the banners and stuff like that. We can request it in the actual budget for like the school instead of for our club, so it'll be a lot easier to get everything squared away, which leaves us with more room to request, different types of things, like bring in a guest speaker or bring in, someone from a bigger name for next year. We'll see who we can get down, perhaps. So.
Really good event. It was awesome. So great job to Ricky. I know you had a lot on your plate. Not only that, but trying to get used to the new job up at WCYB. So kudos to you.
And Ricky, just one quick thing like we told you this year, let whoever's controlling it next year, our company in Burke Weather, the group here, where whatever we need to help out, you let us know. We're there for you.
All right, sounds good.
Most definitely. Well, we're going to switch gears a little bit. I guarantee you we'll end at 9 o'clock tonight since it's kind of an off night. We're going to talk a little bit about the severe weather potential that still exists out in the Midwest. But the past hour and a half or so, the past 90 minutes or so, has been really active for the state of Oklahoma. I know that a tornado was on the ground just outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then one just south of Oklahoma City in the town of Moore. So, guys, I'm going to open it up to you guys as I'm looking at the radar right now. We have 2 active warnings in the so much stuff's on my computer screen. It looks like in the far northeastern part of Oklahoma and the northwest part of Arkansas, 2 active tornado warnings. So, and then a huge line of severe thunderstorms. So, guys, let's kind of talk about what's taking place out there.
Yeah, Scott, as you mentioned, we've had basically the storms that started to develop this afternoon across central Oklahoma and then moved into Arkansas as well. I was trying to pull up your analyst here, and we'll bring it up in a second. We'll bring up some few radar images, but one of the real interesting stories tonight was a small tornado that touched down in southern Moore that actually wasn't warned until the tornado was shown on a local newscast.
Yeah, that was really interesting to see. We were watching KOCO, Damon Lane, who is going to be with us next week. They were doing their live broadcast, and the weather chat started lighting up a tornado on the ground, and the warning hadn't been issued, and then boom, it pops up. They kind of pan over to the helicopter scene, and you could actually see the power flashes, which was really interesting.
One of the other things to mention was there was a tornado warning that was issued for the Oklahoma City Metro by mistake. When the forecaster, the weather service, was drafting it up, somehow they included the OKC Metro, and they had meant to include the county from Moore. And so probably the first tornado warning I've seen, at least in the times I've been watching them, that has actually been issued and then canceled because it was issued accidentally.
That'll be a great topic when we have Rick Smith on in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
in case anybody's working tonight too.
Yeah, in case anybody's wondering, Rick is one of the ones that pulls the trigger on those tornado warnings. So
he is. And guys, I was surfing through Twitter, and I know Ricky's trying to pull up the radar. Sandy Springs, Oklahoma, just outside of Tulsa, is actually showing a picture right now from Severe Studios on Twitter of a gymnastics studio damaged with 60 people inside, and it says many children involved. So My screenshot's not really cooperating with me tonight, so after we look at the radar, maybe I can try to pull that up. But really interested in some developments out there.
Can y'all see what I'm sharing here?
We got it, yes.
Okay, good, because it's been going in and out. But yeah, these are the 2 active tornado warnings right now across the whole board. You see a big line of severe thunderstorm warnings across central Oklahoma and some more up here in Arkansas. But we'll zoom into northwest Oklahoma where the tornado warnings are in effect, and we'll turn off severe thunderstorm warning and flash flood warnings. Had an earlier tornado that was confirmed on the ground near Pegs, and it's been really hard to spot some of these tornadoes tonight because it looks to me like they're kind of developing on the front outflow of some of these storms, and it's kind of hard to pick out where the areas of rotation are. I would say probably the strongest area of rotation between Leech and maybe Snake City right now near Rocky Ford is where there's one area of rotation, and the other circulation looks like it's down here kind of a little bit north of Pegs. This is the one tornado warning moving towards Rocky Fords. Just a radar indicated tornado right now, not confirmed by any storm spot or anything like that. But the other issue, as you notice in the warning text, is quarter-sized hail, and that's been a big issue tonight just with any storm. These are kind of weakened now as they're not so much clustered together, but earlier we had situations where there was some massive hailstones falling out of these storms. Golf ball-sized hail wasn't too uncommon with a lot of these, in addition to some of the tornadoes that moved through the Oklahoma City metro and Tulsa metro. And these are the same storms right now moving east that I just showed you that went through the Tulsa area. The radar in Tulsa is east of the metro near Fair Oaks. And these storms were back there about an hour and a half ago now when they moved through the metro. Now most of the storms are down south of Oklahoma City and Tulsa. Excuse me, Tulsa, not Oklahoma City. But it's left them with so much heavy rainfall that they've had to issue flash flood warnings for a lot of these areas. We're going to try to bring up another product here if we can. Take screen sharing off for a second. We'll switch to a different product. This is GR Earth, but I want to zoom in and show you what's called, let's see where it is. This is a product called Max Estimated Hail Size. And as we go and zoom into some of these storms, you can see how big the hail was across Oklahoma City and down near Chickasaw and Verdon. Some really big hailstones reported across those areas, some 2.5-inch hail estimated. And that's over the past hours when these storm tracks for hail came in. As I put it into motion and let the data load in, you'll see all those hail tracks coming in and then where those storms have been moving through. So there's some of the storms. There we go. So we'll just click through and let the data load in. But you notice the storms near Tulsa that we mentioned earlier, the big hail that came with those, some, almost up to 3-inch hail reports came in, at least radar indicated for some of those areas. The spotter reports verified that to a certain degree. There's a 2-inch hail report, 4.25-inch hail report east of Tulsa. See a few more. 1.75 is pretty common. 2-inch hail is not that uncommon. There's a 2.75. And the other thing that we had with a lot of these storms was very gusty winds. If you didn't have a tornado, there's a pretty good chance you had some gusty straight line winds as well. There's an 80-mile-per-hour estimated report from a train spotter. And then, of course, the hail as well, Scotty, that came across 2 really big metro areas in Oklahoma tonight, Oklahoma City and Tulsa.
Yeah, I'm trying to, I wish I could get the screenshot up. But actually seeing some damage now. Shelby Hayes, our friend out at KOCO, has just retweeted a picture of it. Looks like a house. The roof ripped off of it. The house is still standing there, but significant damage done to the roof and some of the trees there in Oklahoma City. So I know we were watching that Moore tornado right before we came on air tonight, and I know it wasn't as big as what we are accustomed to seeing out there, but still that tornado has done some damage there just south of Oklahoma City. Scrolling again through Twitter, again a roof landing the road here at Southwest 119th Street. This is from Aaron Brackett from KFOR in Oklahoma City. So starting to get a lot of pictures now out of the Moore, Oklahoma area of the tornado that just went through there about an hour or so ago.
One of our storm chase friends, Craig Mayer, I just saw him post, said the areas that he saw, he didn't see anything more than maybe EF2 damage in the areas that he saw. He said it definitely wasn't a major tornado like some of the ones that they've seen, but it was big enough to cause some pretty significant damage.
Yeah, EF2 tornado is nothing to sneeze at. By the way, I mean that's still winds over 115 miles per hour. So.
Yeah, and the
I
Burke
brought up a
County
different
tornado
product.
was. I said the Burke County tornado for some of our viewers in that area. That was an EF2, correct, Scotty?
Yeah, that was a high-end EF2. I think the winds maxed out at 130 miles per hour, and EF3 is 135. So, yeah.
So I brought up another product here, guys. This is what's known as rotational tracks. So what you're looking at is the rotation in the storm over time. And I've overlaid the tornado warning polygons on there as well. And we'll take a look at the storm that approached Tulsa. You can see the two main areas of increased rotation west of Sand Springs and southeast of Prue that developed. And then as the storms approached Tulsa, the rotation kind of weakened a little bit and then kind of cycle through. So this is a great indicator, in my opinion, of how the storms cycle through and where the rotation is stronger and where it's weaker. This area right here near Gregory and Nola, that's where the radar gets very close to the storm and it causes that little error in the analysis. But you can really pick out the one or two storms that were rotating, because if we follow this all the way east, that's where the tornado warnings are still in effect compared to some of these areas further to the north and further to the south. They never really had the strongest rotation. You see the tornado warnings pop up there for a moment, but the rotation was never as strong as it is on this southern supercell, really, that moved through the Tulsa metro and continues to move east now, a little bit northeast of Wagner, and I don't even know how to pronounce that city, but we'll zoom in. Moody's, Scraper, Chewy, and Oaks now being in the path of a potential tornado there.
Let's see here. Yeah, looking again some damage. I'm gonna try to pull this video back up, or I'm sorry, picture up in Tulsa. I'm sorry, in Moore, Oklahoma. Austin, what was the station that we were watching out of Tulsa? Because they had a great example of the inflow coming into the storm.
Was it Fox 23?
I think it was the ABC affiliate out there. They had a meteorologist standing out in the parking lot. You could just see the rapid rotation in the clouds and the inflow. And then he went back inside, went back up on the green screen, and then they started seeing power flashes just on the outskirts of the downtown area of Tulsa. Looking at this picture from Jason Nicholas out in Moore, Oklahoma. This is Joey. It actually looks like one of the stores that we stopped at out there, right from where they just finished building the new housing development. Right where, honestly, and this is live, but right where that dog got hit in front of us. This is the road that is showing us, and a lot of damage on this road. So
that's right in the exact path of the Moore tornado in 2013.
Yeah, this is just I would say probably a couple of blocks over from where the new school was just finished.
Yeah, I believe that was
Sorry.
I believe that was KTUL in Tulsa, by the way, Scotty. KTUL.
Okay.
They picked up tracking that thing right over Westmoreland High School, too. It was pretty crazy right where it came down at.
Okay, seeing a picture. This is this is from KWTV, the CBS affiliate in Moore, and this is showing. Looks like a Toyota Land Cruiser just flipped over on its side. So I really wish my screen share was working tonight, so I could show you all these pictures on Twitter. But yeah, some pretty good, pretty decent damage. And if you follow me on Twitter, I'm going to retweet some of these photos, so you'll be able to see them. That's at CAPT Comeback, Captain Comeback. You'll be able to see some of these pictures. Joey will probably retweet them on the Carolinas Weather Group Twitter as well.
Yeah. By the way, guys, there's the first confirmed fatality in Sand Springs, just west of Tulsa, from the tornado that went through there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that Tulsa tornado was our largest storm of the day. From some of the reports I saw, I didn't get to actually see that one live like we did the Moore tornado, but
I can say, Joey, I was following the weather chat out there, and Stephen Pilf, who did one of the presentations that we were out at the Tornado Summit 1 month to the day, he reported a half-a-mile wide tornado outside of Tulsa. I do see that, what you're talking about, Austin. 1 fatality, 30-plus injuries from West Tulsa metro area. So.
Let's say I was going through some of the reports on the National Weather Service chat from Norman. Ham radio is reporting southwest of 119 and western, 10 power poles down, no power in our area, structure damage, mid-first bank drive-through has minor structure damage, and the 7-Eleven has its windows blown out.
I'm looking at this Conoco fueling station right now, and it's just been totally destroyed. If you look at the background, there's a lot of power poles laying in the streets, some metal dangling in some of the other power lines. So I just retweeted that photo if you guys are watching. You want to see that one. Oh, wow, cell phone radio tower snapped in half. Southwest 4th Street and Bristow Avenue in Moore, Oklahoma. That's interesting.
Kingsgate Drive in 119, they got a 1-story commercial building collapsed.
What city was that, Chris?
I think that's near Moore. 119, I don't, Kingsgate Drive in Southwest 119.
Joey, and Chris, both of you guys know this. Northwest 10th Street in Moore, Oklahoma. The elementary school's on Northwest 7th Street. So, again, a lot of damage in that area, right where the school is at.
That's kind of right where we rode through looking at the old damage, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
They're thinking the tornado started Kingsgate Drive and Southwest 123. Fence is down with minor damage to homes starting at that point.
And then you have the photo of a kid sitting on top of a roof of a house watching a tornado.
Outstanding.
I'm going to retweet that.
That probably would be. I can't. Yeah, that sounds about legit for him.
Here's a. I'll see if I can share this picture. Maybe.
And anybody who happens to listen to our podcast, if you'd like to go back and see some of these videos and things of that nature, all of our shows are on YouTube. You can go back and watch. You can skip through until about the 40-minute mark or so when we started this coverage.
Yeah,
Let me get that picture up for you, Chris.
Kind of to talk a little bit, next week we're going to have Damon Lane, Chief Meteorologist at KOCO in Oklahoma City, as well as Brad Panovich, Chief Meteorologist at WCNC Charlotte. That's going to kind of set up of what we're going to call April Severe Weather Month. They're going to kind of come in and talk Severe Weather 101, what we need to know, some of the terms that we need to know. That next week we kind of extend it to the Storm Prediction Center and the National Weather Service offices. We're going to have Rick Smith, the warning coordinator meteorologist at NWS Norman, Oklahoma, as well as Jared Geyer. He's a specialist with the Storm Prediction Center. They're going to talk about the outlook, watch, warning criteria, some of the categories that you'll see throughout this spring severe weather season, what they mean. And then we're going to talk a little bit about a couple of outbreaks that are near and dear to our hearts. April 15th, we'll talk about the outbreak in eastern North Carolina that many people were affected by. And then the following week on the 22nd of April, we're going to talk about the super outbreak in Alabama with the April 27th, I believe was the date, 2011. And then we're going to follow that up at the end of April with kind of
every outbreak.
Yeah, kind of giving a history of all of Oklahoma weather with Gary England. He's going to talk to us about tornadoes from the 60s, 70s, 80s, even up to tonight. So an interesting month coming up for us with severe weather, and hopefully by the end of that month we'll be able to you'll be able to be more informed about severe weather if and when it affects your area.
Yeah, a quick plug for Gary England. Put it this way: if you guys have never heard him speak, he is. If a raindrop fell in Oklahoma, I think he felt it. So it's good. It's definitely interesting to get to hear him tell his stories.
Actually, seeing a picture of the possible tornado in Tulsa, I'm kind of leery. I don't know if that was the actual.
I'm pretty
tornado.
sure I know which one you're looking at. I'm pretty sure that's fake. It's got the BOX Center in it.
This one is from Pablo Piera.
If you can clearly see the funnel, it's fake.
Yeah, I don't think this one's real because it's visible funnel, and this was a rain wrap tornado. So if you see that picture going around, I don't think that's real.
There's a picture floating around with a BOK Center in the shot, and that's pretty well debunked tonight on Twitter by a few other social media people as being either a fake photo or an old photo. I don't know which one, but it's not from tonight. So.
They've got damage in Oklahoma City as well, proper. 103rd Penn Street, half a roof missing from a house.
Now I'm going to tweet a picture out of. It looks like several inches of hail that has fallen in the near Tulsa, Oklahoma. Very interesting out there.
The ASOS caught the tornado from Tinker Air Force Base. That's pretty cool.
So Ricky, as we're approaching 9 o'clock, we'll kind of talk a little bit about what can our area expect tomorrow with this system moving into our neck of the woods.
Yeah, I was literally just pulling it up as we speak. I'm going to bring up. Let's see what I can do here. I'm going to pull up the SPC forecast for tomorrow, but I'm going to screen share it so everyone can see what we're looking at. This is going to be the Storm Prediction Center outlook for tomorrow. Now, I would expect just a general thunderstorm risk around here. We will have the chance for a few thunderstorms, but the biggest chance of any severe weather is likely going to be across eastern North Carolina, down towards Dare, Pamlico Sound, the Hatteras area, up towards Roanoke Rapids, and then some of the counties of eastern North Carolina, and then up into my area of Hampton Roads. It's funny to see the names down there of large population centers in risk area being Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Chesapeake, Newport News, and Hampton, of all the places you would ever think. That's over 2 million people, though, just in a little marginal area for tomorrow's storm risk. Biggest threat's going to be some gusty winds, maybe some very small hail. Can't rule out an isolated tornado. Even overnight, I wouldn't rule out a rotating thunderstorm across eastern North Carolina as some of the storms move north, but it's certainly not as high of a threat as we saw across Oklahoma and Arkansas today.
Yeah, I was reading a little bit about that, the eastern part of North Carolina and southeastern Virginia. I could see maybe a very isolated severe weather or severe thunderstorm or possible weak rotating storm. So, guys, I'm going to share this link with you all, and maybe one of you guys are having better luck than me screen sharing. This is actual video from News Channel 9 out in Oklahoma City of the actual tornado being caught on the helicopter from Moore.
I'll let somebody try to pull that up there. Maybe they can get that video feed going. Is that Austin's got it up?
That is actually, yeah, I'm watching it right now. This is actually showing the tornado ripping through the neighborhood. Wow, very, very.
No, well, let's play it in the background. Austin's there. We're getting a little past 9, so let's put. Oh, wow, that is a good shot. Let's put Cody on the hot seat for a few minutes here, and let's let him kind of
hold
tell.
on, Joey. Hold on, Joey. Can we we enlarge Austin's picture here? I want you to see this. It's
Yes.
getting ready to go through the neighborhood.
Yeah, I got Austin's picture is up for everybody to see.
Yeah, great. You know, we were talking a little bit before we went on air, talking about how important helicopters are out in the Midwest. I can't wait to talk a little bit about that with David Lane.
Yeah, there's some great images of from helicopters from storms past, and today again you get to see it right there. I mean, that's and people worry about this, but they don't realize it's actually pretty far away. To be honest, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're close, and it's not the safest thing in the world to do. But that helicopter shot is actually a little bit further away than it looks like.
All right, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you talking with Cody, but I just came across that. That was.
Oh, that's fine.
From a pilot's perspective, I'll throw this in here. From a pilot's perspective, you're more than likely not even going to be in any area of rain. You're likely going to be outside of it, probably ahead of it. But then the issue you're going to run into is the potential for the outflow winds. Of course, those could be dangerous to even just any general aviation plane, whether it's big airliner, commercial airliner, or a small little Cessna. You can always have the risk of those outflow winds being very strong, especially if you're down close to the ground. Like, if you're coming into land, the big outflow wind hits you, it's going to cause a little bit of problems where you're going to get blown off a center line, you're going to get blown from where you want it to be. So, on that note, y'all, I have to take off because I got to run and go do something. But I wanted to throw this up here real quick, if I can do a quick screen share, and show you the simulated model run for tomorrow. This is the NAM4, which we'll start this at midnight, and then we'll go into tomorrow. It actually has a decent amount of thunderstorms developing tonight across central North Carolina, and we'll have to look at radar trends to see if that's going to happen or not. But note throughout the morning hours, some more storms across eastern North Carolina. Afternoon's kind of clear, but then the actual front comes through as we go into the day on Friday morning and Thursday night with some more thunderstorms. So I'm not sure how much I trust that. We'll have to watch the radar trends over the next couple of hours and see if storms do form. I know there's a few scattered showers out there now across the Charlotte metro, but I'm not sure I buy that whole big thunderstorm idea for central North Carolina tonight when I look at the radar right now and there's barely any storms across Myrtle Beach and Charleston and stretching down into the eastern or western Atlantic Ocean across the shoreline there.
All right, Ricky. Well, I know you will not be with us next week. You're going to be in Washington, D.C., so...
Yeah, I will not. I have a funeral to attend, actually, up in Washington, D.C. at Arlington National Cemetery, so I'll be gone next weekend, but I'm going to try to drop in just to say hi. I forget what time my flight gets in, but we'll see. So the funeral's not till Thursday, but I will be there Wednesday night, Thursday, and then into Friday. So.
Well, we wish you safe travels, and we look forward to seeing you next week sometime.
All right, sounds good. Thank y'all, and I'll see you later.
See you, Ricky.
All right, just as we wrapped up here at the end of the show, and we promised that we would not go over 9 o'clock tonight because we didn't have a topic, and here we are at 9:06 p.m. But hey, that's what you get with the Carolina Weather Group. Just wanted to give a second here, let Cody introduce himself a little bit more. Maybe let the panel here shoot a few questions at him. We get a little, just get an idea, get to know him a little bit. What he, where he came from, what he does. So Scotty, why don't you tell us maybe what got you into weather, and let's go from there.
Me?
Sorry, Cody. Let's say Cody. Sorry.
Well, I guess what really got me into weather, back in 4th grade, whenever, I think that's when Isabel came through. That's kind of when I started watching, like, the Weather Channel and stuff. And I guess that's the first time I was really interested in it. And ever since then, I've loved it, and I don't know.
And
just the main thing that got me into it.
And Cody, where did you grow up at?
Catawba County, in southern part.
All right. Well, that's definitely close to my location.
Yep.
I'm more in the central, almost dead middle of the county myself, but I know the county well. So let's jump ahead. So you got started around the 4th grade. Any other major events throughout throughout your childhood that you can remember?
Well, maybe not to get me into weather, but whenever I was probably 4 or 5. I can't remember how old I was, but I used to live in southwest Georgia, and they had a pretty bad tornado outbreak there, and almost got hit by an F4, so that was interesting, or F3 maybe. Can't remember how it was, but back on the old scale. That one kind of scared me a bit, but I was only like 5, so it didn't scare me away from it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah,
I've almost been struck by lightning.
I was gonna say, if you was a little bit older, you probably would have been more scared of that tornado. You would have actually known what was happening.
Yeah, probably. One that big.
Right. So now you're at UNC Charlotte.
Right.
What made was there any reason, anything particular that made you decide to go for UNC Charlotte? What made you decide to go to that school?
I can't remember the exact I guess I really just didn't want to go too far away from home just yet at the time, because it was between. I really wanted to go to state at first, and then I figured out Charlotte had a meteorology program, and I came and visited here, and I liked it a lot better. So it's a really nice campus here, and a lot of my friends ended up going here as well. So
that's always a definite benefit. So, now you're a junior, correct?
Right.
Right. Okay. So you got one more year of college. What are your plans? What are your goals once you're out of school?
Well, I'm going to graduate school, so I'll have a few more years after that. I'd like to either work for the weather service in some way, or maybe even teach. I haven't really decided which one yet, but I think I would like teaching for sure.
That would definitely be awesome. I think that's pretty much all the questions I've got. Anybody else have anything they want to throw at Cody before we?
I think we're good. We're looking forward to working with him this summer, as he's going to be our intern at Burke Weather. So, looking forward to that.
I think our plans are to put Cody sort of in charge of Caldwell County, correct?
That's it. If you live in Caldwell County, Cody eventually this summer will be taking care of you. So.
Yeah.
You want me to do the thing?
Oh, you got it. Yeah, Scotty is sitting in a studio right now.
Can y'all hear this? Can you hear the radio? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll do this before we leave. All right. Anybody else have any questions before we wrap up?
Go ahead.
All right. Next week, Damon Lane and Brad Panovich start off Severe Weather Month with us. Severe Weather 101. I can't wait to ask about helicopters and the dry line. That's what I'm looking forward to. You guys looking forward to anything?
I don't even know what a thunderstorm is anymore. So.
All right, guys. Well, Joey normally does bicycle, but
yeah, we gotta send it off on this.
If you live in Oklahoma, you may not want to hear this. I have the power to make that happen.
In case you're wondering, Scotty did not just send off an actual emergency alert. He just hit the test system. So
the people of Western North Carolina now think a tornado is coming. So
yeah, they probably do. But that was just a test of the emergency broadcast system, so that everybody hears it.
Just a test. So
but,
we'll see you next week.
All right, we're out. Bye, Focals.